In this class, we will begin analyzing different tarot decks and notice that although the essence, structure, and energy of the card remain the same, each version offers a new perspective. This varies depending on how you observe and interpret each image. We will start with card number 0, the Fool in the traditional Waite Tarot. The Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot is one of the most recognized and influential tarot decks. The Fool card reflects profound symbolism about life's journey and the infinite possibilities that await us when we decide to take a step into the unknown. I will display an image of the card on the screen so you can observe it more clearly. The image of the Fool in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot depicts a young adventurer with a carefree and dreamy posture. He walks at the edge of a cliff, his head lifted toward the sky as if absorbing the most sublime aspects of the present moment, unaware of the abyss before him. This symbolism suggests that he does not fear the future and is fully surrendered to the flow of life. He simply moves forward. He carries a small bag tied to a staff, symbolizing that he brings only the essentials for his journey. What is necessary to move forward is contained in past experiences, yet he does not carry the weight of the past or expectations. In his hand, the Fool holds a white flower, representing purity, innocence, and the simple beauty of the journey, free from excessive worries. The small dog by his side symbolizes guidance and instinct. It can also be seen as an intuitive guardian, as if trying to warn the Fool of potential danger, since he stands at the edge of a precipice. The sun in the background illuminates the Fool's path, giving him a sense of optimism and joy. The light symbolizes clarity, suggesting that although the journey is uncertain, it is illuminated by a higher force. The precipice ahead implies that he may be about to fall, yet he appears unconcerned, trusting entirely in the unfolding of the journey and the protection of the universe. Thus, the Fool represents the beginning of a journey of self-discovery. He symbolizes openness to new experiences and the willingness to embrace the unknown. This card can signify new beginnings, a fresh start, or an upcoming adventure. Now that we understand the traditional essence of the Fool, let's examine different versions of the card in modern decks, which expand and reinterpret this energy in new and innovative ways. Each modern deck presents visual and conceptual variations that enrich the interpretation of the traditional Fool. As we explore these versions, we can observe how the Fool archetype evolves, taking on new forms and perspectives. Let's analyze each one and understand how they transform our perception of this archetype. In the Wild Reflection Tarot, the Fool card takes on a new dimension by being represented by a woman, altering the symbolic dynamics of the card. Instead of the carefree young man seen in the traditional Waite deck, we have a feminine figure connected to the sacred feminine and nature. The background of the card is filled with small lights and cosmic energy, creating a sense of mysticism and reinforcing the idea that the Fool's journey is guided by universal forces. Compared to the Waite deck, where the background is clearer and focused on natural elements, Wild Reflection transports the Fool into a more dreamlike setting. In Wild Reflection, a fox replaces the dog, symbolizing cunning and intelligence. Unlike the Waite dog, which represents loyalty and protection, the fox suggests that the Fool, though young and inexperienced, possesses the ability to adapt to challenges with wisdom and cleverness. This adds a layer of self-sufficiency to the journey, in contrast to the vulnerability and complete trust of the Waite Fool. The woman's posture is more open and confident, with a serene and assured gaze, reinforcing the idea of inner freedom and connection with her surroundings. While the Waite Fool stands at the edge of a cliff in a more distracted stance, this modern Fool conveys a sense of internal control over her destiny, indicating a journey not only of boldness but also of self-confidence. Instead of a white flower, the woman holds a glowing element that symbolizes an inner calling toward an unknown destiny. This symbol suggests that rather than embarking on a journey rooted in innocence, like the Waite Fool, where the white flower represents purity, this Fool is guided by an inner purpose and a deeper connection to her essence. This Fool represents a more intuitive journey, deeply connected to the magic of life. She follows the flow of nature, but with a quiet confidence and a deeper integration with natural cycles. The Fool in Wild Reflection goes beyond simply taking a step into the unknown. It suggests a journey of empowerment and connection with the spiritual and natural forces that guide her path. This version of the Fool modernizes the classic concept, introducing a female character who is more self-sufficient and empowered. She is more attuned to the natural cycles of life and less vulnerable to immediate dangers, unlike the traditional Waite Fool who blindly trusts in the protection of the universe. In the Cosmic Coven Tarot, the Fool radiates a bold and vibrant energy, embodying a free spirit ready to dive headfirst into new adventures. His dynamic movement and striking presence convey a sense of excitement and vitality. This is a modern Fool, full of life and unafraid to explore new horizons. The figure is in motion, reflecting boldness and a willingness to explore new horizons with renewed energy. Unlike the traditional Waite Fool, who walks carefreely at the edge of a cliff, this Fool is actively engaged, symbolizing a more involved and dynamic approach to life. The cityscape in the background suggests that this journey may encompass both material and spiritual aspects of life. While the Waite Fool stands in a natural setting at the cliff's edge, the Cosmic Coven Fool exists in a modern context, where urban and spiritual challenges intertwine. The presence of a rainbow is a clear symbol of infinite possibilities, diversity, and connection to universal forces. This detail brings a more optimistic and expansive perspective to the Fool, contrasting with Waite's Fool, who is more focused on trusting the unknown and embracing the freedom of the present moment. This Fool is not just a carefree adventurer. He dances through life, embracing each experience with passion and joy. Unlike the traditional Fool, who gazes upward, unaware of the dangers ahead, the Cosmic Coven Fool sees the world as a field of limitless possibilities, where he is unafraid to get lost and reinvent himself. He is an explosion of energy, marking his journey with a free-spirited essence. This Fool symbolizes more than just an unconscious impulse toward a journey. He represents a vibrant celebration of life, choices, and self-expression. This Fool is deeply connected to modernity, self-expression, and creative freedom. Instead of simply embodying the innocence and ingenuity of the traditional Fool, he represents the search for identity and the desire to break free from conventions. He does not wander aimlessly. He leaps forward with purpose and energy, striving for a more authentic and discovery-filled life. When comparing the Cosmic Coven Fool with the traditional Waite Fool, we see an evolution of the archetype. From the carefree and intuitive youth to the free-spirited individual, fully embracing the pulse of the modern world, rich in symbols and energy. While the Waite Fool focuses on trust in the unknown, the Cosmic Coven Fool highlights the exploration of possibilities, creativity, and life as a vibrant celebration. Both versions, however, carry the boldness and freedom that define the Fool as a universal archetype. In the Illuminati Tarot, the Fool returns to a classic visual style but is enriched with Renaissance and medieval elements. The figure of the Fool in this deck conveys a sense of nobility while still maintaining the traditional essence of the card, emphasizing the journey as a quest for adventure and self-discovery. Unlike the Waite Fool, who wears simple everyday clothing, the Fool in the Illuminati Tarot is dressed in rich, ornate garments, indicating that he is not just an ordinary traveler, but a figure of higher status. This suggests that, although he is about to embark on a new journey, he carries with him a certain wisdom or inner nobility, making him more aware of his mission, contrasting with the Waite Fool, who appears more naive and carefree. The dog remains present, as does the cliff, fundamental elements of Waite's traditional version. The dog still symbolizes loyalty and intuition, and the cliff represents the uncertainty and dangers of the path ahead. However, in this version, the golden background and elaborate clothing make the Fool appear more prepared for what is to come, giving the impression that he knows what he is doing, even if he does not yet know all the details of what lies ahead. The golden hues in the background add a regal aura, a touch of wisdom that is not present in the traditional Waite Fool. This Fool appears more aware of his journey. While he still represents adventure and new beginnings, there is a sense of wisdom in his appearance and posture. He is not as naive or disconnected from what lies ahead as the Waite Fool. Instead, he seems conscious of the path he has chosen, ready to explore with a sense of nobility. This interpretation suggests that, while the traditional Waite Fool symbolizes courage without knowing what lies ahead, the Fool in the Illuminati Tarot represents the willingness to embark on a journey, but with a deeper understanding of its purpose. In the Deviant Moon Tarot, the Fool is depicted in a mysterious and eerie way, almost as an enigmatic figure with a cryptic smile that adds a surreal layer to the card. This version of the Fool exists in a parallel universe where the journey is anything but predictable. Here, the card's energy is completely different from the traditional representation, offering a more psychological and introspective perspective. The setting surrounding the Fool in this deck resembles a dream or a nightmare, creating an atmosphere of disorientation and chaos. This unsettling environment suggests that the Fool is immersed in a reality beyond conventional existence, where space and time are distorted. In contrast to the Waite Fool, who walks carefree through a natural landscape, the Deviant Moon Fool is trapped in a twisted reality. Unlike Waite's innocent and optimistic young fool, the Deviant Moon Fool is depicted in a dark and distorted manner, with an unsettling grin that suggests madness and lack of control. While Waite's Fool is a clear and confident figure, this Fool appears to be lost in his own mind, embarking on an internally chaotic journey. Strange fish leap around the Fool, emphasizing the bizarre and otherworldly nature of his environment. These elements, which do not belong to ordinary reality, highlight the idea that the Fool is navigating an unfamiliar world where oddity and unpredictability are constant. Unlike Waite's Fool, who exists in a more natural setting, this Fool seems to inhabit a space that defies conventional logic. The dim lighting and shadowy nightmare-like tones reinforce a sense of loss of control and madness. Unlike the Waite Fool, who is illuminated by the sun, a symbol of clarity and optimism, the Deviant Moon Fool is surrounded by shadows and distorted lights, showing that his journey is more closely tied to mystery and chaos. This Fool does not walk his path with faith in the universe or the naive trust of Waite's Fool. Instead, he plays with reality, pushing the boundaries of the conventional and embracing the unknown with reckless, chaotic energy. He is not in search of self-discovery through purity and innocence, but is instead venturing into a path that defies norms, exploring madness and mystery in a world without clear explanations. The presence of the strange fish may symbolize his ability to navigate an unknown and surreal world where the usual rules of reality do not apply. His unsettling smile suggests that he is in touch with the forces of chaos, and he does not mind the lack of control. He is willing to move forward without fear, challenging fate as if daring the universe itself. This Fool may represent a complete break from convention and a willingness to explore the limits of understanding. He embarks on a journey through madness and the unknown, where there are no guarantees or certainties. He could symbolize someone willing to abandon all certainty and surrender to a path of creative chaos, where the unexpected is the only constant. Compared to Waite's traditional Fool, who moves through life with purity and innocence, this Fool seeks to understand and explore the darker side of the journey, challenging expectations and diving headfirst into the unknown. This version of the Fool brings a more mysterious approach, contrasting with the clarity and trust of Waite's Fool. Instead of being a figure who follows his path with optimism, the Deviant Moon Fool represents someone who ventures into the unknown without fear, playing with reality no matter how unsettling it may seem. In the Lightseer's Tarot, the Fool connects with the forces of the universe and the flow of life. Unlike the traditional Waite Fool, who embarks on a journey with naive trust, this Fool is guided by an expanded awareness, indicating that they do not blindly follow the unknown, but move forward with wisdom and purpose. The character stands at the edge of a cliff, but this representation goes beyond a mere physical adventure, portraying a confident and self-assured woman. Compared to Waite's Fool, who teeters on the precipice symbolizing trust in the unknown without knowing what comes next, the Lightseer's Fool is more self-aware and connected to their inner being. The Fool holds a crystal symbolizing clarity and focus. Unlike Waite's Fool, who carries only a small satchel, this Fool is prepared for the journey. This suggests that, although they are stepping into the unknown, they do so with self-awareness and certainty. In the background, the element of air, the most ethereal of nature's elements, symbolizes the lightness of the fool's journey. The mandala at the bottom of the card reinforces the idea that the fool's path aligns with universal laws. In contrast to Waite's simple natural setting, which is more centered on the physical plane, the background of the light seers introduces a completely different dimension, indicating that this fool's journey is elevated by self-confidence. In this card, the fool is not just someone leaping into the unknown without knowing what awaits. They are a confident explorer. This version speaks of trust in oneself and the universe rather than innocence or ignorance. Instead of merely stepping off the cliff like Waite's fool, the light seer's fool represents someone opening up to the unknown, but in a conscious way, with heightened sensitivity to the energies around them. When comparing the light seer's fool to the traditional Waite fool, we see how the archetype evolves into a more self-aware version. While Waite's fool walks with the confidence of youth, the light seer's fool walks through life with greater clarity and wisdom. Although the essence of the fool card remains the same across different decks, each version presents a unique expression of its archetype. Across all decks, we recognize the joy and willingness to embark on something new, whether an adventure or a fresh start. At its core, the Fool is always a symbol of a journey initiated with optimism and enthusiasm. However, each deck brings its own uniqueness and interpretation, adding new layers of meaning that enrich our understanding of the card. Some decks portray the Fool as more confident, others as more energetic or even chaotic, but they all share the spirit of exploration and openness to the unknown. The magic of modern decks lies precisely in how they adapt, always maintaining their true essence while offering a unique perspective with each new reading.